Myers Metal Detectors, located in sunny Tampa, Florida, where we sell nothing but fun and adventures, treasure hunting gear, and anything you can imagine for metal detecting. Give us a call, 813-237-1939. Happy hunting and dig deeper.
Live from sunny Florida, it's Treasure Talk.
It's Treasure Talk.
It is indeed. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it's going to be a good treasure talk tonight. Very good. We've been chatting with the guests backstage, and it's y'all are going to like it. I guarantee.
Yes, it's an excellent guest, Jeff. I can't believe how you find these folks who are on YouTube and expose people to treasure hunting and stuff that we don't do over here in the U.S. Well, I guess some people do it when they're gold prospecting, but it's just so cool that we show another part of metal detecting and treasure hunting for sure.
Yeah, we got that's what we've talked about. This is treasure talk means treasure hunting in all of its forms, and that can take a lot of different forms. And and the thing of it is, if you've got any kind of the hobby, if you're like say a fossil hunter, because we got some really good fossil hunting shows coming up, and some other type shows. We got Lost Dutchman's Mine coming back in a month or so.
Bottle hunting or Indian arrowhead hunting.
Yeah, any of that kind of stuff. Phil's got stuff in stock that you can use.
Yeah, all different things use, and in each part of the hobby, sometimes you use the same tools to do it for sure.
Yeah, pretty much in a lot of ways. Yeah. So
same shovels a lot of times, same scoops for different applications for sure.
Yeah, and they make these sifters if they're in the hunting in the water. Of course, a lot of people use those just for water hunting, metal detecting in the water.
For sure. Yeah. Oh, and I need to remind folks that I guess it will be next Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm going to be closed because on Monday they're putting the big termite tent on the shop here. As my building was built in 1926, and I want to make sure I don't have any termites in here. So it last was tented in the year 2000. So it's time to do it again. So,
yes. And if any of you have gotten a gift with lots of legs in a package from Phil, he apologizes in advance, and it won't happen anymore.
Yeah, Jocelyn just told me to remind folks we'll still be doing the show. I'll just be doing it from home because I won't be in here when they're fumigating with all that gas because I won't live through that. So we'll do the show from home, but then on Tuesday and Wednesday, the 10 will still be on. But if you need to get a hold of me, call me. We can get the product shipped out Thursday when I get in. I'll just come in that day for sure.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of good things going. We're working on now. It's in the process of being formulated. If you missed the live from the shop, we are having made for Myers. It's exclusive to Myers. It is the carbon fiber handle for the Pro Sifter Titanium, which Phil has got air in his hand, and we are having a new handle.
Yeah, that's a little more robust and heavy duty. So
it'll be a lot more robust and heavy duty, and it will be called the Myers Pro Handle. And it'll be available for our titanium scoop and any CKG scoop that you might have. So
yes, for sure. So that's somebody just commented that we switched places, Jeff.
Yeah, we did. If we can go back to the other one, just give me about 2 seconds if you want.
Oh no, I made us big. There we go. We're smaller. But anyway, so folks, we'll have a more robust handle. So we're doing a lot of cool things for sure.
Yes, we are.
And we've got excellent guests coming up because Jeff shows me the who's coming. So just like today, we have an excellent guest who's going to talk about some finding gold in the outback of Australia. So I'm excited about that. But anyway, Jeff, I should do our housekeeping real quick.
Yep, you should, but I want to tell them real quick. We got the Knock the Score show rescheduled for March 11th.
Awesome.
So we will be giving away a score and a score 2.
A double score. Score and a double score.
Yep.
Excellent products for sure. the Garrett what gold panning kit. Oh, somebody's commenting. We're going to give away one of those tonight on the show.
Yeah, yeah. So you got to do the housekeeping,
Yes.
then we'll get our guest on.
Yes. Okay, cool. Someone just told, or Sam told me that she referred us, and I appreciate all your referrals. Thank you very much. All righty, so let me do the housekeeping. Today's show, of course, is brought to you by your friends at Myers Metal Detectors, where we sell fun and adventure. How about that?
Yes, we do.
And the views and thoughts and opinions expressed here by the Treasure Talk guest and member belong solely to the guest and member, not necessarily to Phil Myers, Jocelyn Myers, Myers Metal Detectors, or Jeff Monin.
True.
And the most important statement here is the purpose of Treasure Talk, and that's to promote the hobby of treasure hunting and metal detecting, and treasure hunting of all forms that Jeff was just talking about, and to educate our members in a fun, informative manner. And that's just what we're going to do.
Yes, we are. And we have got a young man tonight from the land down under. And it is, what time is it now, Philip? It is
it's tomorrow.
It's a little after 7 our time, but it's tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
So it's already Tuesday there. So
we're probably already finding gold a day ahead of time.
Right. We're going time warping here. We're going to speed ahead in time, and we are going to bring on our guest, Mike from Old Fellows Travels in the land down under. Hi, Mike.
How you going, guys?
Welcome.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
I've got to tell you, I really like your intro. It's a great intro to the show. I loved it.
Yes, Jeff, he's the master doing all that stuff. I just got to get to sit back and watch it. So
I had help.
Yes, but you do an excellent job, Jeff. I have to say that. And it looks like we got quite a few people in the chat here already. And folks, if you Jocelyn's over on the other side of the room, and she shouts messages at me or questions to ask you, Mike, because I know a lot of people are going to have a lot of questions about what you're doing out there. And first off, your YouTube channel is Old Fellas Gold Hunting?
Old Fellas Travels.
Old Fellas Travels. Okay. So, folks, if you're out there and you want to see Mike on his YouTube channel, which I was just watching some of those earlier today, and I was talking earlier that I'm having my shop tented, and you were right next to a termite mound where I'm having my building tented, fumigated for termites because it's almost 100 years old. We want to make sure the wood lasts forever. But those termite mounds were taller than you.
Yeah, they're massive, and they get bigger the further you go north. I've had them twice the height of my vehicle, right up the north of Australia. But yeah, I'd noticed that you said with you put tents for your termiting over there. They don't do that in Australia, but it sounds like the go. But yeah, I don't know how many termites there is in those mounds, but they're big.
Yeah, our termites here, we have two types. We have the subterranean, the ones that are in the ground, and then we have dry wood termites that fly, and they get into a building, and both of them are really bad for your older home. So we have different ways of killing those. But we had a question already from Prospecting Mules, and he's asking, Mike, what part of Australia are you in?
Oh, okay. So I'm on the state called Western Australia, which is probably the largest. It's by far the largest state in Australia out of the 7 states, and it's on the westmost coast of Australia. I'm based out of Perth, and generally I'll drive from Perth up to round about the middle of Western Australia is probably about where the centre point of the gold is. So, yeah, not far, probably 700 kilometres out of Perth is the main prospecting point on the westmost coast of Western Australia and Australia.
Okay, cool. And Jocelyn just told me somebody wants to see her, but she says she got to let the stars shine for sure. We got 3 stars on the show tonight, don't we?
That's right.
Oh, and then people want to see my shirt. I've worn this before. So there it is.
Yeah.
It's a Hard Daddy shirt. So, well, we got some questions for you, Mike, already. Why don't you tell the folks what equipment you're using now?
Yeah, okay. So I'll just step back a step on that. So I started off with the STC 2300. I've always used Minelab, and with the 11-inch coil on that, it served me really, really well, and it paid for itself very quick. But I only had that for a year, and I moved on to the more common, detector, which is probably used by 70% of prospectors in Western Australia, which is the 7000, the ZX 7000, or not ZX, sorry, GPZ 7000, I should say, Minelab. So that's been my tool of choice for the last 2 years, and then going back this year, I'll be moving to the GPX 6000 because it's become quite popular for finding the smaller pieces of gold out in the gold field. And we do have a lot of minute pieces of gold, under 0.5 gram and that. And the 6000 tends to be the prospective, the detector, I should say, the prospectors choose for that. But I would say my preferred tooling is the GPZ 7000. You get that tuned up right, and because we have very noisy ground over here, we have some of the most noisy ground in the world in the gold fields, and it's hard to keep that tone down. And the GPZ gives you the capability to really wind that back.
Okay, cool. So for the folks who don't know, because I went to a Minelab conference, and they kept talking about the GPZ, and I kept wondering, what is a GPZ? A GPZ is a GPZ 7000. So that's Australian, GPZ instead of GPZ. I thought that was funny when I realized what it was. But, those detectors are rather expensive compared to what we use for the general purpose hobby. They're, thousands of dollars. And how long does it take you to pay for the detector?
If you on a good year, you'll pay for it in the first year. But like I was saying to you guys before, last year I had a terrible year, and it probably still owes me maybe $1,000. But generally, if you have a good year, and that's saying for somebody that's got some experience, that can read the ground and can find the gold, because it does take you a while to learn how to read the ground. So if you're just starting out, it could take you, a couple of years. But in view that I'd already prospected for some time with the with STC 2300, about a year to pay for itself. Yeah.
Okay. And it looks like we got a question from Sam Truckley, and she's asking, can you dredge in your area? Do you need a mining permit?
Yeah, so it's quite different, to what I've seen on some of the overseas videos. We only, there's a couple of different licenses you have, but generally anybody using a detector, like most of us detectorists, so they call us, we would generally just have a miner's right license. Now that only permits you to dig, I think, a maximum of a metre down, and you're not allowed to remove more than a cubic metre of soil under that license. So no, we can't, dredge or cut. To do that, you actually need to go into a miner's license, which is, now you're talking dollars, and equipment. So no, in answer to that, we can't. We're quite restricted. Also, we can't use power tools either. So sometimes you might get 400 mil down and hit some pretty hard bedrock, and you've got to do that by hand, and generally end up with some blisters. And sometimes it might only be for a gram of gold, So yeah, it can be a bit tough sometimes, but no, we're quite restricted. But having said that, in Western Australia, up in the gold fields, most of the gold's, most of it's alluvial, so it's in, wash beds. So to a degree, most of that is fairly easy to get to. You don't need to go down maybe more than 12 inches at the max.
Okay, so when you said it's in wash beds, so does it rain and change the land every year? Do you have like flash flooding where it moves a lot of the ground?
Yeah, we do. Not every year, but often, you'll have big seasons come through, and this year particularly they had a really wet season, and what that'll do, it'll probably may remove 2 or 3 inches of soil. It may not, but it only, you only need to remove a couple of inches. So if it washes through some of those gullies and that and goes hard and floods some areas that haven't been flooded before, it's possible that 2 inches is enough to expose more gold. So yeah, it does play a part, but most of it is just ancient beds. There's a lot of open beds through gullies and that now that that don't have water running anymore. And there's so much gold around, to be honest, for us guys, that you'll walk across gold on the same piece of ground you've been over before without any, wash over it. But yeah, certainly the floods and that do play a part.
Yeah. I guess the old saying, it's never hunted out, is true in gold prospecting too, because
Yeah.
you just never get it all. So we had some questions come through. What is the largest nugget you found?
The largest piece of gold was 22 grams. That's the largest piece. And unfortunately, I hit a patch and I found a 22 gram, a 12 gram, and I think it was a 7 gram. And I had them all in a packet as keepers because they were the biggest gold I found. Unfortunately, they got stolen.
Ah,
Yeah. So that was a bit painful.
yeah, that is painful to do all that work to find it and then have somebody steal it. That's tough. That really is. So it looked like Rick T had a question. How true is the gold hunting as compared to the TV shows?
Oh, that's a good question because we often talk about that. They certainly, I mean, what you see is what you get, but there may be hours and hours and hours, in that before they actually find some of those golds. They sort of hang around and wait for them to hit a patch or a bit of gold. So it's not like, and in reference to that question, when that first came out in Western Australia, the gold fields increased by, I think it was 10,000 prospectors passing through the gold fields after that, because they all thought you could buy a detector and just walk out across the ground and find big chunks of gold. And for about a year, there was lots and lots of cheap second-hand detectors on the market. So, yeah, the reality is they do find their gold. I mean, it's not placed. They haven't, thrown it about to find, but it's by no means as easy as what it is. They may have spent a week out there before they actually get onto a patch of gold that they'll film and, present.
Yeah, and it looks like we got a question here from Tom Becker, and he says, once you detect the gold, how do you separate it from the dirt? And do you do it right there or that at some other place? Well, I've seen your videos and you're just digging for it, for nuggets. You're not doing the real small stuff, right?
No, so what you do is, yeah, of course, anything down to, I suppose, about 0.2 of a gram, we'll pick up the detectors. But yeah, we just dig it out and use the detector, to find the tone. And when it's out of the ground, we just basically use a scoop, just put some in your hand and run the scoop over the detector until you finally break it down to that little piece of gold that's in the dirt. Yeah, simple as that.
Yeah, it's like when I was in Arizona, they give you the same type of scoop, little green. It looks like a big spoon that you're
Yeah, exactly.
it out, and because it's so small. And I didn't find gold; I found lead birdshot, but it's so small to see that you have to wave it in front of the coil and eventually break it down to where you find that small piece of lead. And I saw a couple questions in here about finding do you find a lot of trash, or you call it rubbish, from old prospectors?
Yeah, lots of a lot of lead shot and a lot of lead bullets, like you say, and lots of old. I suppose you could call them relics, but tins or a lot of horseshoes. You'll find a lot of horseshoes because that was what we used by the prospectors, back in the day, 100 odd years ago. So there's a lot of that sort of rubbish around, and also a lot of metal, just from tins. They have a habit. The old prospectors had a habit of piling all their tins into one big location because they lived off of a lot of tin food. But with floods and such, sometimes it gets washed down along the creek. So you can have days where you find one piece of gold and 20 pieces of rubbish, and that includes nails from boots as well, or hobnail boots. Yeah, so lots of rubbish.
Yeah. So when did they start finding gold in Australia?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it was back around about the late 1870s, I think. And what actually happened was there was a fella on a horse that was looking for a bit of gold, and they hadn't really found much gold up in the goldfield areas. And he found a massive piece of gold, and he rode back because they had to take it back to a bank, which was 3 or 4 days right away. And he found this gold, and he I think it was 1873, if I remember correctly. and he packed all these ounces and ounces of gold into his saddlebags, and he went back to town trying for no one to find out, and the word got out. So when he went back out there after finding this gold to find more, he actually tied like hessian bags on the hoofs of his horse, so nobody could find it out where he'd gone. But they managed to follow him with with trackers and such, and that's when the boom started. And it basically started round about the mid area of where the main gold fields are now, and it's continued ever since. Kalgoorlie being the major find. Everybody ended up in Kalgoorlie in the late 1800s, early 19 as such. And up there, you may have seen on one of my videos, but there's what they call a super pit up there, and that's where the gold really took off, and that's where everybody was headed then.
Okay. All right. Looks like Jeff posted another question from Luis Villarreal. Do you ever make jewelry from your gold finds?
No. I know people that do. There's a fella that finds gold and makes jewelry out of it, but no. I'd like to have the talent too, but I'm a bit rough-handed in that sort of way.
And what is the carat of your jewelry or the gold that you find there naturally? Is it like 22K or?
Generally, it's nearly pure. Around Leonora's got some of the purest gold in the world. And generally there'll be when you get it broken down, it'll be mostly gold. There'll be a little bit of silver in it and a few impurities. But yeah, it's generally nearly, it's close to 24 carat. Generally around about 99 to 98% pure.
Okay, cool. So when you find that 2-ounce nugget, it's worth almost what 2 ounces of gold is. Actually, people pay a premium for the nugget, though, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Any large, if you can get up, once you get up around that 1 ounce mark, they'll sell for quite a bit more than what the value of the gold is, because it's become a bit of a collector's item now, because the bigger nuggets are getting harder and harder to find. And so you find the big ones, and you're better off selling them as a nugget than as gold value.
That is the scrap value of the gold.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I was always fascinated by that. I was just at a coin show and they had a bunch of nuggets, but they were smaller nuggets they were selling, and they sell for a bit of a premium, but they came out of, I think, South America.
Yeah, right.
So Ricky T is asking a couple questions here. The first one is, what does Mike do for a living, or is he strictly a prospector, or are you retired? I'm probably strictly a prospector, but I am retired, but I'm not of retirement age in Australia, so I don't get like your pension that you'll get once you reach retirement age. So I'm pretty much self-funded, which is a bit of a struggle at times, and especially last year. But I suppose you'd say that I was semi-employed as a prospector, because I have to prospect, but I can afford to have about 4 months of the year off just traveling as well, enjoying the coastline. Yeah. So what was your job before you started doing this?
I actually worked in IT. I was a high-level support technician for an insurance and banking company here in Australia called Suncorp. And I actually worked for them for about 16 years, up there fixing servers and such when they break down and people couldn't log on to their banking lines and that. So fairly high stress job and a bit of consulting with that. So from that to prospecting, I suppose it's a bit of a swing, but I'd rather prospect, to be honest.
Okay, cool. Well, we got loads of questions rolling through here, Jeff, don't we?
Yeah, you got one from the Prospecting Mules.
Yes.
Do you offer tours, group detecting outings, that kind of thing?
No, I don't. The base is pretty much covered with that. There's quite a few already doing that. And the problem we have here in Australia is we have terrible insurance issues when you're doing anything like that for personal injury and liability. But nothing like that, purely prospecting and traveling, just me and my dog, basically.
Cool.
All right, well, Sam Truckley asked, do you sell the gold you find?
Oh, yes. So that's part of my income. I like to keep, if I find, good sized nuggets, I like to keep them I suppose you'd call that a retirement plan. But yeah, definitely. And it's very easy to sell here in Western Australia. You generally the gold shops, and there's a couple of main shops, that operate here in WA, and generally they'll give you a pretty good price. You can take it to the Perth Mint, where obviously our money's made, and they will give you actual real price of what it's listed for, and they'll also get paid for any silver content, because there's always a little bit of silver content in the gold. But yeah, I definitely that's sort of my income, So for that 6 months of the year or 8 months of the year that I prospect, that's revenue purely to allow me to save a bit of cash, of course, and to do my travels.
Oh, cool. And it looks like Martin Bishop is asking, what is your most interesting find other than a gold nugget?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question, because I found obviously, the prospectors used to carry a lot of coin around, and back in the day, a penny or a half penny, which was just a copper coin, was probably the most commonly carried. And I found an 1887 penny, which is copper and brass, I think. And I found that in probably about 12 inches of clay. And when I pulled it out the ground and washed it, it was virtually like brand new. But yeah, that's probably and also a threepence, which is a little silver coin. But that penny, being as old it was and as good a shape it was, yeah, that's probably the most interesting find I've had.
Okay, cool. And I guess this one is from Dirt Diggers UK. Is there a lot of claim jumping? You're on public ground, aren't you? Or are you on private?
Okay, so claim jumping, there is a bit of claim jumping, actually. But there's very harsh penalties for that in West Australia. And we have what we call the Gold Police, and they actually go out and drive across, live sites, and they'll check you for paperwork. So the way it works here in Western Australia is nearly all the ground is owned by, mining companies or small-time prospectors. But when you apply for that piece of ground, it has to go pending for a while. So that means anybody with a prospecting license can go on it. But most of the ground is generally already owned by what they call live. And what we have here is we have a form that they call a 40E. And when you put that 40E in, it'll give you permission to go on their ground, if they approve it, to go on that live mining site for a period of 3 months. But you lose 21 days in approval. So 3 months less 21 days on any site that's live is an exploration site. Yeah, so, and that's where you need to go to find the real gold. To make a living, you need to go on those, get permission to go on those exploration sites.
And how hard is it to get the permission?
Oh, they've got a pretty streamlined process here in Australia now, and you fill the form out, put your prospector's license details down, put it into the mining department, and within up to a maximum 21 days, you'll generally get approval. We've never been knocked back yet.
Okay, cool. All righty. It looks like we got questions galore. Rolling through here. It goes so fast. Jeff caught this one here from Luis Villarreal. Do you run into any pyrite or fool's gold?
Oh, no, not so much. The fool's gold tends to be more down south, around this area I'm in now. But no, generally not so much. Very rare.
Okay. All right. And I think we had that one before, but we'll talk about it again. What's your biggest nugget?
Oh, I think it was it was 22 grams and stepped down from there. And like I said before, that unfortunately those 3 nuggets got stolen. But yeah, I just in reference to that was on a patch. I came across a patch with no rubbish whatsoever next to a road, next to a track, and I couldn't believe it. And I pulled out of probably about 40 square meters. I pulled out 3.5 ounces of gold just in that one patch in 2 days.
Well, 22 grams, that's your largest nugget. So that's like 2/3 of an ounce, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Grams. Yeah, 33 grams is an ounce for folks who don't know.
That's a ripper.
That's a ripper. We could say that for sure. To me, it would be a ripper. I think 2 grams would be a ripper for me. But,
it all adds up.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier, and Tim Naylor had just asked, any unusual wildlife encounters?
Oh dear, we could go on for a bit here, but I'll keep it short. Yeah, so we have, well, they're really not wild dogs, but they're native to Australia. They're called dingoes, and they look very much like a dog. And one time I was out, and I remember a farmer, station owner, cow cockies we call them, and a station owner had a big cattle station, thousands of square kilometres, and he said to me once, just keep an eye on the dingoes, and he told me about it. And I was out one time, and I looked over my right shoulder, and here's a dingo walking along with me. And then about a couple of minutes later, I turned around and there was two. And then a little bit later, all in the space of 15 minutes, I turned around to my left and there was three. And I remember the cow cocky said to me, he said, if you ever get more than two dingoes tracking you, you best get out of it, because three dingoes, they're very strong jawed. And he said, three dingoes is enough to bring you down. And if three are on you, they'll call the others in. So, yeah, I got out of it pretty quick, because dingoes can be very dangerous. And in view of that, my friend got chased by a camel, and which are quite dangerous too.
Yeah, we were talking about the camels, and the camels, I guess, are feral. They're out there on their own then, right?
Yeah, and their conditions are so good, and they're so hardy. They're in play proportions. There's something like up in the area, like a camel for every square kilometre of ground at the moment, and they have to cull them because they do so much damage. But yeah. They're feral from the early days when prospectors used to use camels to cart their gear, yeah?
Okay. And then it looks like Uncle Beep is asking, do you find any opals when you're digging around?
Oh, like skeletons?
No, opal. Like the stones. I've seen they have opal somewhere.
Opals. No. No, and I don't think there's any opals in the goldfields here. It's not like that. You tend not to find those other elements. The goldfields are further. The opal fields further to the east. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because they have TV shows on the opal hunting too in Australia. I've seen quite a few of those. So it's pretty interesting, but it's. Even gold prospecting seems like it's a lot of work to find that nugget, to scratch through that ground.
Yeah,
it's not
so
like
generally.
Go ahead.
So generally, it is a lot of work, because generally you've got to get out there. I mean, there's not gold everywhere. There's gold about, but it comes in patches. So it's not unusual. I've spent 2 weeks looking for a patch. And basically it's what I call patch hunting. So you just head out and walk in a straight line, and then turn around and walk back, just swinging your coil fairly quickly until you get a tone. But sometimes you walk straight on it. But yeah, it's a lot of work, yeah. And you might dig anywhere to 40 holes a day. And when we're talking temperatures of up there around, over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, it can be pretty tough.
Yeah. I think the question went by earlier and I missed it, but they were asking, do you do any other type of metal detecting besides gold prospecting?
Oh yeah, I've got a Equinox, and sometimes I'll take that with me and just hunt around the beaches, and look for gold rings and that. But to date, all I've found is just stubby tops, the lids off of beer bottles. That's all I've found. Yeah.
Okay.
People do enjoy their beverages on the beach.
Oh, they do, yeah.
But that's so funny, because I think anybody who's into detecting never throws their trash on the ground, but everybody who's not in detecting must throw their trash on the ground all the time, because we're so used to picking up people's trash. We'll never do that. It's just terrible. This is an interesting question from Dirt Clod Metal Detecting. Are you allowed to carry personal protection from the dingoes if they're dispatched?
No, and we were talking about that earlier before we went live.
Yes.
No, we're not. Australia, we've got very strict laws, and it's very difficult to have a weapon in Australia, which I tend to disagree with. I really like this right to bear arms thing that the US has, but no, we can't. And I often thought, because we have some rogue bulls too, really big bulls that get out there, and they can get a bit ordinary. So I often think, what could I use as a weapon? And the only thing, my friend carries a big knife, but I don't like to get that close, I don't think. So I generally just, think if I ever get run down by, rogue bull or a camel, the only option I have is just to, use the pointy end of the pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Uncle Beeps asked him, "What's the favorite beer over there?"
Oh, yeah. In West Australia, there's a beer they call Emu Export, and the common name for it, you'll see people with t-shirts on, Bush Chook they call it, and you'll often see on the videos people say, they'll have Bush Chook or a Bush Chook cap on, and Bush Chook Emu Export. That's probably the most liked beer in Western Australia. Yeah, it's a good beer. I don't mind it.
Yeah. I think that one went too quick for me, Jeff.
That was the wrong one came up. This one, ask this one.
Do you do year-round prospecting? That's from Moose in New York.
Yeah. So generally, we'll have most prospectors will have from about round about maybe the first week of December to probably the last week of February. The big prospectors, the guys that are cutting the ground and running it through dry blowers and that, they'll generally work all year round. And in those really hot seasons, they'll just dry blow it with the machinery. But generally, it's too hot for us. And generally by December, you're getting up about 4:30 in the morning, and which is our hottest part of the year, December to January. And you're generally getting up about 4:30 in the morning, going out prospecting till 10 o'clock. And by then it's too hot, but the ground gets so hot, it becomes so noisy, you struggle to pick anything up. So we do all year round, with the exception of maybe that 3 months. And that's generally when I travel down south where it's nice and cool and stay on the coast. So we're talking maybe 8 to 9 months of the year as a full-timer.
Oh, okay, cool. And you make enough to cover all your expenses and buy the latest Mind That gear?
Most years, not last year. I barely broke even last year. Just well, I got some savings because it was a bad year, and the ground's very, very rough in Western Australia. And I went through in 3 months. I went through 2 complete sets of tyres. So, that's in Australian dollars. There's what are we talking? There's $3,500 worth of tyres. That you've got to cover the cost for. There's an ounce of gold you've got to find even before you break even on that. So. Last year wasn't a great year at all, yeah.
Well,
but generally you do.
What wears the tires out?
We have these trees over here, mostly mulga trees and sandalwood trees. And when they die and break off the ground, they just leave these spikes to stick out of the ground. The spikes they're like a steel stake.
Oh,
and sometimes they're hard to see, and they'll just tear the sidewall out of a tire. It doesn't matter how good the tire is, and then your tire's gone. Yeah.
Right. And I guess when you're out there, you've got to have a couple spares with you, I bet.
Yeah, you need a couple of spares. You don't want. Sometimes you can plug them. We have these plugs. I suppose they'd use them in the US as well. But once they're plugged, they might keep you going, but they're illegal. You can't run on the road with the sidewall on the tires plugged. So
right,
and it is a bit dangerous. So yeah, you can get away with it, but generally you'll have to replace them or change them.
Yeah. So Jeff, are we going to do the drawing soon?
Yeah, we are. In just a second, Sam Truckley wants to know what the temperature is right now, and then I have a question.
Yeah, so in the goldfields at the moment, it's still running around the 30, 40 degrees centigrade, which is 105 Fahrenheit or something like that.
You got me. I don't know. I can't convert. The question I have is, I've watched a number of your videos, and I love the way you got your truck tricked out. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So originally it was bought as a 76 series Land Cruiser, and in Australia they're all the V8 diesels. And the goal was to have a vehicle that I could live out of. So it's pretty much a dual radio UHF radio system. And I removed the back seat and actually made it into a 2-seater. And the back seat is basically set up to put on my detector and camera gear and that in. And then in the back, I've got drawers and such. But the main thing is I've got a full electrical system. So I've got 240 volt. I've got solar charging. I've got charging from the vehicle. And I've also got 240 volt charging from somewhere where there's a charge there. So it's fully self-contained. And the inverter that I run for my 240 volt, I can actually run an induction cooker. I very rarely cook off of gas, and I use induction. And I also carry 60 litres of water in 120 litres of water in 2 60-litre bladders. But that's only when I'm using just the vehicle, like I am at the moment, just traveling down south. But normally I have the camper, and that'll have the water in it. But yeah, it's fully equipped for off-grid living, and full electrics. It's a home away from home, to be honest.
Well, good. That answered my question, because it is tricked out, and y'all need to go and watch all his videos, because he shows you a lot of his vehicle, and that sucker is tricked out. Let me tell you, it's cool.
Thank you.
So we're going to do a giveaway. What are we giving away, Philip?
We're going to, of course, they're going to get the Treasure Talk towel.
Coveted towel. It's coveted worldwide.
Yes, it is. I saw the Digging Canuck was posted a picture on Facebook, and Darnford Towel wasn't on the back of it.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're going to give away a Garrett gold panning kit. We're going to do that.
Okay, so in the chat,
they'll get the calendar too.
Oh, always got to have a calendar.
And they'll get a card and some other stuff.
And those are world-renowned cards. And if there's a Zazich laying around, you might get a Zazich.
Yeah, they might. Depends if Joe's here on Saturday.
That's right. Depends on if Big Poppy makes an appearance or not.
Yeah, for sure.
And it'll be it's a world-renowned Zazich. So
yes.
The key phrase that you need to enter in the chat to be entered for this is #GoldPan.
There you
Put
go.
that in the chat. We'll give you a few minutes, and then we'll do our live drawing.
Jeff, did you happen to get a commercial sent to you from me?
Oh, yes, I did. Let's do that while they're putting it in the chat.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay.
That way I can run and grab a drink.
Hey folks, Phil Myers here from Myers Metal Detectors, and I want to show you some of the gold prospecting items that we stock here in the store. We have the gold panning kits by XP Deus, and we also have them by Garrett. We also have any tools that you would need to get out there and dig. We've got the Excalibur shovel. This is the wide version, and we also have some different color ones. If you're interested in that, this is Joe's favorite. He has this one. It's the Barney Purple. That's his favorite shovel. Also, we have all the detectors that are multi-purpose detectors you can use for gold prospecting. We have the Manticore, we have the Equinox 800, 900, we have the Legend. Those all have gold prospecting programs in them. If you want a gold prospecting specific detector like the GPC 6000 or 7000 or different Minelab products, we can get those for you. We just don't stock them. Phil Myers, Myers Metal Detectors, happy hunting and dig deeper.
Yeah.
Joe said, because he filmed that for me, he says, I was going to smack you in the head with that shovel. I said that wouldn't have looked good on the video.
No, it would have been interesting. We probably would have gotten censored, but sometimes Big Poppy's living on the edge, Phil.
He likes the Barney Purple. That's what I tell him all the time. He gets mad at me for it. So, but you can get, that Excalibur shovels. You can get any color product you want. He does some really nice work too. So it's a. Oh, that Jocelyn just said, can we drop a link to Mike's channel? And you could do that, Mike, on Treasure Talk on the Facebook page.
It is the Old Fellas Travels on YouTube, correct?
Yes. So
yeah,
be sure to
just search Old Fellas Travels on YouTube and it'll come up.
Yeah, be sure to subscribe to it because it's very interesting.
And share it and like all the videos.
Yes, for sure.
And do the same with this one. Like it and share it.
Yes. So,
okay, I think.
You ready to do it, Jeff?
I think so. Let's go ahead and put it on the screen, Philip, because I know you like this.
Yes, this is my favorite part. We used to do this ahead of time, and now I like seeing it. There we go.
Around and around and around it goes.
All the people entered have a chance of winning the gold pan and some
Blessed Adventures.
Blessed Adventures is the winner.
Yes, indeed. Blessed Adventures is the winner. Now I'll pop this up there for you, Blessed Adventures. I think you are a new viewer. I saw they joined, and they're from Orlando, I believe. So what you need to do, Blessed Adventures, is you need to send your name, address, and phone number to treasuretalkshow@gmail.com. Excuse me, I got the allergies.
Yeah, it's that time of year. Everything's blooming now.
Mine go on all year long. So send your name, address, and phone number, treasuretalkshow@gmail.com. We'll get your prize sent out to you. And you never know, you may indeed, if Big Poppy is feeling frisky, get a Zazich. You never know.
You never know. So, Mike, let's get back to some questions. And Justin's been yelling at me across the room, but I have my volume turned up so loud I couldn't hear. But that's
dangerous.
It is. So she'll throw something at me soon if I don't ask the questions. But yeah, she says it's tough to be me. And go back to the equipment you're using. Now, how long have you been prospecting?
It's just coming a bit over 4 years, actually. About 4.5 years now, yeah.
Yeah. Now, have you ever used your Equinox in the gold fields? Will that work there?
Yeah, it probably would. I haven't, but it probably would. But I think the difference is it's I think it's more customized to that what we call fauceting for stuff. And this is only like from what I understand, I think you can't wean out the noise enough on them to make them really worthwhile. And I don't think they have the same punch as far as depth goes. And that's the important thing. You need to be able to punch down at least 18 inches, and I think that might be where they're lacking, But having said that, there was a record gold nugget found about 6 months ago on somebody that just went and bought an Equinox and was just stumbling across the gold, what they call the Golden Triangle over in the eastern side of Australia. And he came across, it was like, I don't know, a 23-ounce nugget or something. He didn't even know what it was worth. He took it into the shop and said, "Oh, do you reckon this would be worth more than $60,000?" And the bloke said, "Are you kidding?" Yeah. So I suppose, like it's luck of the draw.
Yeah. So actually Equinox has been used there and it does do it. It's not a specific gold prospecting detector. It's more of a multi-purpose unit, whereas those GPZs, those will, I guess, handle your soil is real hot. Is that iron or what is it?
Yeah, the mineralized soil here especially in the gold fields is some of the highest mineralized soils in in the world. And the GPZ, they've actually modeled some of their setting in their their diagnostics to allow for that. And most of you'll see on anybody using a GPZ will generally run in settings which is high yield and a low noise or high mineralized setting, and which is called difficult. And we're pretty much running that all the time and even with that get a bit of noise. But that's the big problem with detecting is you need something where you can get rid of that mineralized noise. It's quite bad.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see the ground looks kind of reddish sometimes on the videos. And I think that's probably the iron mineralization, huh?
That's right. And we're not that far from the iron ore, big iron ore fields, and you only got to go maybe another 400 miles north. And the soil up there is in the rocks. It's got such a high content of oil. You can actually put an earth on one side and strike an arc on the other side just on a rock. That's how high the iron content can be.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Do you find when you're out in the outback there prospecting, Mike, do you find that people still litter a lot out there?
Yeah, it still happens.
Sad.
We generally leave a site cleaner than what it was. We'll generally go in with one bag and come out with 2 bags of rubbish, if you know what I mean. But yeah, there's still, we call them grubs in Australia, but there's still a lot of grubs out there, and they'll just leave. There's a thought for some people that if they throw it in the fire, it'll disappear. So it's not unusual to find a fire pit that's just full of cans and broken glass and that. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our hobby, is cleaning up other people's trash, looking for treasure.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
For sure. And speaking of temperature, I was just reading here, not temperature, Terry Curry, she's up in Nova Scotia, and I think she just said she had 5 foot of snow.
Wow. You wouldn't see that in the gold fields.
Yeah, you wouldn't see snow there. for sure.
You won't see that. Yeah. Only up in the ski fields. That's the only place you'll see it.
Okay, and this one is from Allie from Pink Power Alley. She's asking, is there crystal hunting in the land down under, and does Mike partake?
I don't, but there is, and I've actually got a friend that that does it over in a place called Lightning Ridge, and they do it here, but generally not combined. Generally, us prospectors, all we do is prospect, you know. But having said that, we do sometimes you do find bits of quartz that are on that turn, you know, where they're a beautiful bit of quartz and might be saleable, but they don't quite make it. I think you've got to go a bit deeper, yeah. But generally, not just looking for that gold, just trying to make a living.
And with your permits, you're not allowed to dig deeper than you said a meter?
Yeah, about a yard. Yeah, I think it is. So we can't go any deeper than that. We can't use any power tools. So no electrical power tools. So any rock you might strike that you think there's gold in, you've got to do purely by hand. And I think it's a cubic, basically a cubic yard of dirt. That's as much dirt as we're allowed to remove from the site. So we're pretty restricted, but we're not looking for, generally we don't have to go that deep. And we're not really looking to work, you know, that amount of dirt. That's for the high level, you know, miners.
Do you find, Mike, do you find like meteorites and other space trash?
Oh, yes. Yeah, you do find the odd bit of, you do find the odd meteorite and that. And actually, there's a, I can't remember the name, but there's a stone that you find in Australia. And apparently some, you know, thousands or million years ago, a meteorite struck another country and it hit it so hard that it burnt these pieces of metal and they landed in Australia. And I haven't found one yet, but they're a certain type of stone you find. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and then this one's from Sam Truckley. Do you have a rock crusher to crush and search for gold?
Oh, we do, but it's by hand. So if you find any what we call specimens, you know, which is a large, you know, generally a large piece of quartz or quartz and ironstone, yeah, but it's by hand. We have a round tube. We call them a dolly pot. We have a round tube, which is, I suppose, about that round. We have a piece of rod about that long, and you just go merry hell until you can sift all the gold out of it.
Okay. And then I had a question for you before we get to the other ones. That looks like Jeff got one of them, and Jocelyn's telling me there's another. My question was, are you out there hunting by yourself, or do you have people with you or close to you, like a team of people?
Mostly with, I've got two friends and their partners, and generally we'll go out and set up a bit of a base camp, because mostly we'll be in that one location for 9 to 10 weeks. So we'll set up a base camp and work out from there. But it depends. I have been on my own if there's a particular site I wanted to have a look at, but rarely. In the first year I did, I was always on my own. And generally we'll be 80 to 100 kilometres from the nearest town. So you're quite a ways out. But no, generally as a group now, it's much safer. The people do go missing in the gold fields.
They
you know,
from bad things or animals? Or
yeah, from bad things. They're currently looking for a couple at the moment. They've been looking for about 6 months, and all they found was their burned out camp and trash vehicle. And I don't think they've found either of them yet. And in the gold fields in Western Australia, and in fact most Australia, but particularly up where we are around Leonora and Leinster and that in the mid of Western Australia, there's where they've prospected. There's literally thousands of mine shafts, because they did it all by hand in mine shafts. And in one of my videos, I call it, have you ever been down a mine shaft? And there's literally thousands of those. So if you were to want to murder somebody, and you could dump them down one of those mine shafts, and they'd probably never be found, you know, because there's literally thousands of them.
Yeah. Yeah, they'd be gone forever.
Yeah,
scary,
and I think...
Yeah, so Tom Becker's asking, do you cover the holes like you haven't dug a hole to make them look like you haven't dug a hole? Do you do that?
Yeah, we do that, and that's specifically because it's a requirement under our license. The requirement is to leave the ground as you found it, yeah.
Well, we ought to make that a requirement over here, so maybe some of these people would, abide by it, because there's a lot of them that don't.
Yeah, fill your holes and take your trash with you. That's
Yeah,
the
exactly.
biggest problem. That's how we lose ground that we can detect.
That's
Is
right.
people leave the holes open and then throw the trash right next to the hole. So
Same problem in Australia. We got the same issue here. I mean, it's only a very small percentage of people that do it. Full-time prospectors like like myself and like we don't do it because we respect the role and what you need to do. But a lot of not a lot, but a small percentage of people, like it is anywhere, I suppose, do that, and it just destroys it for everyone else. And it's not nice to be out there looking at that either. You like to see the ground, kept in good nick.
yeah, you want to see it the way it's supposed to be. This
Yeah.
one is from Bill Crow, and he says, "Do you have any trouble with criminals after your gold?"
I haven't personally, but see, it is a little bit of an issue, and there's some areas where people have gone missing over the years. Prospectors do go missing, and it's probably very much due to that. But that's kind of one of the reasons that I go out in a group now.
Yeah.
Because it happens enough, I suppose. Nearly every year someone goes missing, but whether they're just lost or whether it's come to misadventure, from the criminal activity, I don't know. But yeah, there is a little bit of that. Yeah.
All right, and then this one is from Pink Power Alley, treasure hunter. She's asking, "Is there any shipwrecks off the Aussie coast?"
Oh yeah, lots. Yeah, lots and lots of shipwrecks, especially down the southway from the early adventurers, and then up through the east coast of Australia, and the north, where there was a lot of activity during the war, and aircraft wrecks as well, close to the coast and also offshore. And it's some people come to Australia. I don't know what part of Australia. Some people actually come here to dive on all the old wrecks because there's quite a number in place. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
What a lot of people don't realize is that Australia, that years and years and years ago, was used as a penal colony, wasn't it not?
That's right. That's how Australia got started. Yeah,
Yes.
as a penal colony. Yeah, steal a loaf of bread, and you're on the ship to Perth.
Yeah, because we've got a really good wine here in the United States called 19 Crimes, and it's all about the people in the Australian penal colonies.
Yeah,
they've got a beer in West Australia, that I think they call it 100 Lashes, which is based on the penal as well. Yeah.
Well, Matt, and that hour has gone by, so
Yes, it has.
Quick. Yeah.
it went real quick. Well, I wanted to thank you for coming on here and sharing your treasure hunting wisdom with us and our members on Treasure Talk. We really appreciate you doing that. And thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Jocelyn, for helping me do this as we do it every week. Try to educate our members for sure. So thank you.
Yeah, look, thank you very much, Phil and Jeff. I appreciate it. I really enjoyed it. It was good having a chat and hearing some of the questions on what might be of interest, from the other side of the world almost. So thanks very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we have a really, really top flight viewership. People are pretty sharp and they ask good questions, meaningful questions, and stuff that they really, really want to know. And Mike, we just can't thank you enough for joining us and sharing what you do, because it's fascinating. Now, everybody out there, remember on YouTube, The Old Fellas Travels, go subscribe and share and like all these videos, because I'm telling you, you want to watch these videos. They're fascinating. You get to see a lot of the outback of Australia. You get to see him find gold. You get to see his tricked out car. You get to meet a lot of other people that do the same thing. It is well worth the watch. So, Mike, we'll have you back again soon. Good luck, happy hunting, and find that ripper.
Yes.
Thanks very much, guys. Thank you.
Deeper for sure.
And we'll see everybody next week, where we will have Under the Plains about bottle digging. He's been on before and you really enjoyed him. So we'll check that out next week. Under the Plains will be with us and we will see you then. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Jocelyn. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We couldn't do it without you. Happy hunting, everybody, and dig deeper.
Dig deeper for sure.
Dig deeper. Thanks, guys.